Hey, what is going on everyone? Welcome back to another Clash Royale video, and in today's video we are going to be talking about the legendary chest challenge. So I got a request from one or two of my viewers and they asked that I help them out with the challenge, so I thought, like, you know what, hey, I already entered the challenge and I wrote a guide myself already earlier today, so might as well do the video as well when I can, right? So before we move on, I just like to thank you all so much for all the support that you've been giving me all this time. It really means a lot, and I just like to say thank you so much for all the support that you've been giving me each and every video. It means a lot, guys. And for those of you who are new to the channel, I just like to make one thing clear. I ended my challenge at 10 wins at best. I am not made of gems, and I am not a pro player. I am a decent player. I am a skill player. I am not the best. I am not a pro. I will never claim to be a pro unless I got recognition somehow in CCGS or whatever you call it, but whatever. Anyways, guys, these tips and tricks here will be based on my personal experiences here, so take them with a grain of salt. But with that being said, let's get right to it. So what is the legendary chest challenge? So this is going to be a challenge that is running from Friday 11th to Sunday 13th of August. Now the top prize is going to be a legendary chest, and that is really awesome, guys. Supercell is trying to be a little bit more nicer to us these days. They want to give us some more legendary cards, and this is their way of saying, here, take something for almost free, but hey, you have to kind of work for it as well. So yeah, anyways, let's get right to it. So in this challenge, you're gonna have to battle a lot and battle very hard, because everyone wants that top prize, right? So you're gonna have to get up to 12 wins, and it's gonna be like a normal grand challenge, except you're gonna get half the rewards from the challenge chest itself. And if you lose 3 times, of course you're gonna get kicked out immediately, so you get whatever tier prize that you earn. And let's see now. So there are a few things that you should note about this challenge. So in this challenge, you are going to be able to have access to every single card in the game right now, except the ones that have not been released. Of course, we can't get those cards unless you're on a private server or something. You will not have access to them. Anyways, you will have access to all of these cards, so feel free to make whatever deck you like. Pick what you want, as long as you think it's gonna work for you and you are able to make it work. That is absolutely fine. So another thing is that it is a challenge, so at the end of the standard 3 minutes of battle, there is going to be 3 minutes of overtime. In this time, you are expected to take a tower. At least someone has to take a tower, right? Otherwise it's going to be a draw, and you probably aren't going to be satisfied with a draw unless you were the one who was losing in the first place. But we are not here to lose, guys. We are here to win. So let's get on with the challenge tips themselves. So pull up a chair, grab a pen, and just sit back and relax. But mostly just pay attention to what I have to say. These are going to be some very important tips, so it is going to be advisable to just pay attention to them. So our first tip is going to be about distractions and hindrances. So for general efficiency, you will want to ensure that you are nowhere near any possible distractions in real life. So they can be your cat, your dog, your sister, your aunt, your cousin, your best friend, maybe a snail. I don't know why I said a snail. Who would get distracted by a snail? I don't know. Let's not get sidetracked here. Anyways, I think I saw a snail over there. Anyways, guys. So do not be near anything that will distract you. It is going to just affect your gameplay, because if your eyes are off the screen for just about 2 seconds, they might drop a bandit at the bridge or a battle ram, and that is going to be very punishing if you are not able to react to it in time. So yeah, just pay attention to your surroundings. Go somewhere that is kind of peaceful and you'll be good to go. And while we're on the topic of distractions and hindrances, let me just say you will want to keep your device charged up. Maybe not 100%, but if it's close to that, go for it. And this is because you do not want to have a low battery during a crucial battle, especially if it's stretching on long. And if it does stretch on for long, you will not want that thing to die on you. Trust me, the rage will be real, the assault will be strong. And let me just say as well, one other thing, and this would be to just ensure that your internet connection is stable, because if you're like me, you're probably not, well, you're probably used to fighting with lag, but I mean, who can ever be used to fighting with lag? But yeah, you do not want to be fighting when your internet connection has a lot of lag spikes, because trust me, it is worse than being a sitting duck. You're gonna be a sitting duck who's blindfolded as well. That ain't pleasant at all, guys. Trust me, it is not pleasant. So do yourself a favor, and just go somewhere that has a stable internet connection. Trust me, it is not going to be pleasant when you're lagging. So yeah, just do yourself a favor there and go where it lags the least. It will help you out a lot, trust me. So our next tip is actually going to be a more serious one, and this is going to be about proper elixir management. Now guys, I'm going to emphasize this a lot here, and let me just make this clear. This is not 2v2, and this is not double or even triple elixir. So what this means is it is a regular 1v1 match. So it's mano a mano. You are going to be fighting someone one-on-one, and you are going to have to consider the plays that you make very carefully, and it is your duty to just ensure that you do not leak too much elixir or overcommit on any single push or defense, because guys, the last thing you want to do is waste your elixir, because wasting your elixir, it is going to leave you very vulnerable at times to enemy advances. And no matter what their deck is, or no matter what your deck is, no matter how good it is, wasting elixir is gonna screw you over at any point in time in the game. So make sure that you just spend your elixir carefully and that you know what you are investing your elixir in. So just play smart and all will be well. Now our next tip is gonna be patience. Now this is gonna be kind of a long one as well. Well, not this one, but the next one anyways. So part of being skilled in this game is gonna come from being patient. At times you should just know when you should be the aggressor and when you should just be passive about it. So for the most part, if you're able to play smart defense and wear the enemy down over time, you got like 6 minutes guys. Trust me, that is a lot of time to chip. So you can really annoy some people there, and in doing so, some of them actually snap and rage quit. Not all of them do, but a handful of them actually do submit and just give up. So that's what's gonna happen if you just play full-on control against some people there. It breaks people. So yeah, that's just an option you can do, and trust me, control is just lovely. I would know I'm not the best control player, but I love control on the whole. It is just really fun to just take advantage of what is on the field and make it work in your favor. That is the beauty of control guys, and right now in this new meta it is going to be very good, because the Ice Wizard is going to be buffed and he can fit in a lot of control decks as well. To be honest, Ice Wizard is a utility card like Zap, and he can fit in almost any deck. Put him in almost any deck and he's still going to be very good. So apart from the control archetype, the siege archetype is also going to be very viable because of the deploy time buffs. It is going to be very annoying on ladder facing all of those mortar users, and then in challenges we're going to see lots more expos. So just prepare for that. Anyways guys, on to our next point. So now we are going to be talking about predictive plays and patterns. So another part of becoming a better player, and challenger for that matter, is knowing how to identify patterns. Now these can be very common or convenient ways for your opponent to really defend or push. So an example of this would be how your opponents would typically defend against a bandit or a mini P.E.K.K.A. So usually most people have swarm cards like a skeleton army or goblin gang, and knowing this, they will probably want to use it more often than not on defense if it works the first time and you weren't able to really address it or just deal with it. So if they get in the habit of doing that, you can actually tell when they will do it again. So what you can do is just to mess with them really once you identify it. Just throw something like a predictive log in the exact area that they were last time, or just average where it's going to be. And if you're going to be doing this correctly, you will bypass that skeleton army, goblin gang, whatever it is, and get your troop to the tower, because it is going to cause them a lot of trouble to try and figure out a new way to deal with the card that they were trying to defend before. And the same thing can be done on offense. Well, not exactly the same, but it is similar. So if you notice your opponents are playing some of the same cards around the same time, like let's say an Ice Golem and a Hog Rider right behind it, you can probably tell exactly when they are going to drop that Hog Rider at the bridge, so you can get ready with your tornado or your defensive building. So that's just one way to really just prepare yourself mentally for what's coming. And if you can just keep track of what patterns your opponents have for their offense as well, you will be able to ready yourself on defense and just level the floor with them when they push. So by doing this, you will be able to just take advantage of the situation and make it work in your favor. And if you're going to be using a tornado on defense against a hog rider, you're going to want to pull it to the king tower there the first time around if it is possible, to just wake up the king. And just remember, if you're going to be tornadoing, do not tornado if there's support troops behind the hog rider still. It is going to be doing a lot of damage. Make sure you're able to take care of that first, and then every other time when they throw the hog rider at you, you're going to want to pull it to the center of the arena, where the king tower and the opposite side's arena tower will be able to help you out on defense. It is just going to make a positive trade for the hog rider there. It's going to be a 3 for 4 trade plus 1 elixir there, and that is going to be very nice. Now, with all of these tips about predicting being said here, I would just like to make one thing very clear for you, and that is, even though your opponents might have clear patterns and stuff that you can take advantage of, remember, you also have your own patterns, whether or not you realize it yourself. So be very, very considerate when you are placing anything down there, and just know that you should not be too consistent with what you do. So whether it's attacking or defending, change it up a little bit every now and then to keep your opponents on their toes, and that way you will not suffer too much predictive plays by your opponents and be punished for it. Now, our last tip is going to be about adopting a game plan. So after making your deck, it is very, very important that you make sure it is a little bit flexible so that you have a few ways to deal with a number of situations. Not every matchup is going to go in your favor, because I mean, not everyone is going to be running the same decks. Unless something is extremely popular, then you can expect it a little bit more often than others, but generally not every game is going to be the same. That kind of rhyme, but that's not the point. So it is going to be very important that you consider what you might expect to find in these matchups, and just have a sort of idea as to what you would want to do when you see certain cards. So for example, if you see your opponent drops a golem in the back, you know what cards you want to push with, or if you need to defend. But generally it is better to pressure the other lane, because they'll be low on elixir and they will just be kind of vulnerable at those points in time. So yeah, just walk with a game plan in mind for a lot of scenarios that you should expect to face, and by doing so you will already be one step ahead of your opponent from the time you see their first card drop. So yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for my general tips overall for the challenge. And now we're going to be discussing some very, very good choices in cards that you could consider to bring in the challenge with you. Now, do note that not all of these cards in the same deck is going to be a good deck overall, because they are just effective cards. They are not going to necessarily synergize well with each other all the time. So do remember to pick some cards that are outside of this list, because that is important as well. They may synergize better than any of the cards listed here with any card of your choice. So without further ado, let's get right to it. And our first set of cards is going to be the Baby Dragon, Bowler, and the Executioner. Now, the reason why I listed these cards here is because they can really help take out hordes of enemies. And let me just say, the Bowler and the Executioner in particular are very handy, because they have that very nice area of denial, and they are very formidable when you pair them up with the Tornado spell. Now, also on that note there, the Bowler is going to prove to be very useful as well, because with the balance changes, a lot of people are going to be running the Mini P.E.K.K.A. and the Ice Wizard. So generally Bowler pushes back a lot of troops on the whole, so as long as it's a medium class weight troop, it will be able to just push it back and you can just stall. So keeping a Bowler handy is going to be a wise option. I didn't see much bowlers myself. I did not use the Bowler myself. It is just my recommendation to you based on what I fought. So the Bowler can counter a lot of things like the Bandit, the Lumberjack. It can push back Valkyries as well and stuff. So yeah, good card overall, so consider bringing him if you want. Now, our next card is going to be the Guards. Now, the reason why I listed these Bone Brothers here is for one reason and one reason only, and that is their versatility. Trust me guys, regardless of the current meta, these cards are very, very good. They are just able to deal with a lot of things that are very popular, and these would include the P.E.K.K.A., Mini P.E.K.K.A., Bandit, Battle Ram, E-Wiz, Lumberjacks, all of these stuff. The guards can really just shut them down, because nothing in this game except poison really wrecks them in one go, because Zap doesn't even break their shield, Log takes off the shield, Arrows takes off the shield, but the Bone Brothers remain unscathed underneath that. So it's a good call to bring them for distraction purposes as well. And if you do not like the cost of them, you could play a little bit riskier and use the goblins. The melee goblins also perform very well, so it's your choice to really weigh the pros and cons and decide which one you would rather use. Now our next set of cards is going to be the Minor Princess and Ice Wizard. So with the recent buff to the Ice Wizard, his damage has been increased, and let me just say, this dynamic through here, they're going to be very, very powerful, and this is going to be the start of something that has just died out quite a long while ago, but pay factor guys, it is back. If you don't know what I mean, it is basically the synergy between the Minor Princess and the Ice Wizard. It's like the pay to win version of Trifecta, which was Hog Rider, Musketeer and Valkyrie. So that's just a little bit of information for you guys who are new to the game, and let me just say, these cards are very good together, so you can just use them and just annoy opponents in a lot of ways once you play your cards right. The Ice Wizard is going to be a great defensive card, so too will the Princess, and she will also be a very good bait card as well for those of you who like bait, and she's also a good source of chip damage. So too will be our favorite card, the Minor. Guys, I can't even begin to tell you how much I love the Minor. He's just absolutely amazing, and in my part 2 video you will see some really funny stuff. Trust me guys, it made me laugh so much, and it just made this challenge worth doing, so do stick around for that as well if you have the time. Now just remember, if you take one or two of these cards, it's going to be very fine, but if you take all three, it can really work in your favor. Just be very careful of when you use it and how you use it. Now our next card on our list here is going to be the Battle Ram, aka the Pencil. So even though it was nerfed earlier today or earlier yesterday, depending on when you are watching this video, it is still a very viable win condition, and this is because if it is used correctly and at the right times, it will be absolutely devastating for your opponents. And for only 4 elixir, it can really throw them a curveball. So yeah, it can actually help turn the tides in your favor. So just keep that in mind there, and let's move on with our next card. So our next card is actually going to be the Fireball. Now I'm not the best Fireball player in the world. In fact, Fireball is one of those spells that I rarely ever use, but generally it is still a good spell to keep handy because of things like Three Musketeers and stuff. It just does work against them, and it is very valuable for its cost. So it can keep a lot of things in check, like the Three Musketeers and just a lot of things in general. So just keep it with you, and if you run Tornado, you can have the Fireball Tornado combo. Very deadly on defense. Trust me, it is worth the elixir. So especially when you can just clip the tower or some troops and buildings together with it, it does prove to be very worth it. Now our next card is going to be the Log. Now again, I'm not the biggest Log fan in the world, however my opinion on this has been changing over the course of time because I have been using it more often. And let me just say, when you're running logs, troops such as the Mini P.E.K.K.A. or Bandit or Battle Ram, you can just help them out and just clear waves and waves of skeleton armies and just tombstones, anything that your opponents generally swarm your single target units with. It can clear the way for them, and it can keep goblin barrels in check. Just be careful not to get tricked into using your log early or with a trick barrel or anything like that. So be careful of that, folks. And our last card is going to be the Lightning Spell. Now although this card can be very situational, it is extremely powerful. Trust me guys, Lightning Spell, when it is paired with certain cards and decks such as a Golem deck or a Lava Loon deck, maybe even a P.E.K.K.A. control deck, it can absolutely devastate some opponents because it can take down a lot of just powerful cards that your opponents will be able to drop on defense, while you just have arrows and log handy or something like that to deal with their swarm units. So it kinda just keeps them in check from defending too much, because the lightning, it strikes down 3 things with the most HP, so they have to be very careful of what they choose to defend with. So that is going to conclude our list of possible cards to use in this challenge. And now I've actually prepared a small list of some decks you might want to consider trying out. These decks are kind of meta. Not all of them are going to be as good as they were before because some of the cards were nerfed, but hey, these are just suggestions, just if you don't have anything at all in mind. And these decks would include the Hog Cycle decks and the Hog Bait decks, or you can even try traditional bait. That also works as well, because not everyone is able to handle bait decks. Trust me guys, even I don't handle bait so well. It is freaking annoying and you have to just play really on point in order to break through their defenses. So another set of good cards or decks really to bring would be the Splash Yard. Now Splash Yard got nerfed because Ewiz has taken a health reduction, and the graveyard is going to last 1 second less and spawn 2 less skeletons, so it is not going to be as efficient as before. But hey, just remember guys, when you're sending in a graveyard, you are sending in a tank with it most of the time, so you're probably not even going to notice that much of a difference. And the reason why I suggested the Splash Yard deck is because it is very defensive minded with the Bowler, Baby Dragon and Tornado and stuff, so you don't need to worry so much about defense all the time. And speaking of defense, P.E.K.K.A control, Miner control, these are also very good choices to bring with you as well, because if it's one thing I can say for sure about a control deck, even if the odds are stacked against you, chances are you're going to be able to defend very well and take it to a draw. So better a draw than a loss, that's what I would always say. And our last sets of decks would include the Bridge Spam deck. Now the Vietnam deck that was introduced a little while ago, it is not going to be as strong as it used to be, especially the version with the Night Witch and stuff. But if you take aspects of it, I guess, like the Battle Ram or a Bandit in your deck, they can perform very well because they require immediate attention and cannot be left alone for very long. And our last two decks would be the Expo Cycle and the Motorcycle decks. Now these two decks are going to be very powerful soon, and they're going to be all over the place, especially in ladder and I guess in challenges a lot too, because of the fact that they deploy faster now, so they require immediate attention and they can be very punishing as well. So if these decks do not appeal to you and you wish to use something that I made myself and had some decent success with, here are two decks that I prepared myself. So our first deck here is going to comprise of the Battle Ram, Miner, Melee Goblins, Tornado, the Ice Wizard, Mini P.E.K.K.A, Fireball and the Executioner. Now it's actually quite a surprise here. I know I said not to use every single card in the list in your deck. It's just coincidence that these cards work well together, so this is probably one exception here. There are probably a few others, but hey, that's just one of my first decks, and it is meant to be played like a control deck, of course. So you're gonna want to defend a lot with the Ice Wizard and Mini P.E.K.K.A and Tornado and Executioner and stuff, and pressure when you can with the Battle Ram and chip with the Miner. So that is basically how you're gonna play that deck. And our second deck is gonna be made up of the Miner, Ice Wizard, the Princess, Bandit, Executioner, Guards, the Tornado spell and Fireball. So it's like a different spin-off of the first deck, and it is a Perfector deck, so you can be really sure that defense is pretty efficient with it. Just watch out for lightning value and you should be good to go. So again, you're going to be pressuring with the Princess in between, but mostly for defense. Ice Wizard for defense, Guards for defense, Executioner for defense, but your main sources of damage is going to come from value Fireballs, minor chip damage, and the occasional dash from the Bandit if your opponents are unfortunate enough to just mess up their defenses. Now this challenge is going to be quite rewarding because the milestone achievements you can get are pretty darn sweet. So at 2 wins you're going to get 1000 gold, at 5 wins we get 40 rare cards, at 8 wins 5 epic cards, and at 10 wins, guys, this is a pretty big one, 20,000 gold. And at 12 wins we are going to get that sweet legendary chest. So that concludes our look at the legendary chest challenge itself. If this video has helped you out in any way at all, do let me know with a comment down below. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to maybe subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this in the future, and maybe even like it if you did like the video. If you did have a problem with anything at all, do let me know with a comment. Don't just dislike the video and move on. I would really like to know what I can do better. If it is within my power to make the video better at all, I will try. If it is not, I will let you know. So again, just let me know how you all do in the challenge. I'm really eager to hear how you all perform after hearing some of these tips. So I wish you all the best. As always, guys, remember, if you keep on digging, you'll eventually strike gold. But even then, keep on digging deeper. You'll eventually come across something even more worth your while. So once again, everyone, thanks for stopping by, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Peace out, guys.